I'm a huge fan of moss, so when I received this old salvaged piano piece, I knew exactly what I wanted to turn it into, a witch's hat. And these two thrifted risers were perfect candidates for the brim of the witch's hat. I ended up really liking the detail on the white one, but in order for it to lay flat, I had some sawing to do. I pulled out some Titebond speed set and slathered it all up. In order for it to stay and dry, I taped it and let it sit for a while I worked on my other projects. I'm always amazed at how well it works. This thing is going nowhere. This moss comes in a large roll, so in order to make it manageable, I'm going to cut it into a rectangle. The back of this moss has a slight netting, so I'm going to be using hot glue to apply it to the wood. Although I'm using a salvaged piano as the base for my witch's hat, this can definitely be created even using like a thicker cardboard and making a cone shape. I'm going to go ahead and put the link down below for this moss because I think that this project would be a great addition to any home. So this is my first time doing this project, and I was a little bit stumped at how I was going to get it to go onto the base of it and look halfway decent. So while you watch me wrestle a little bit with getting this on, I'd love to introduce myself. I'm Kathy with Waste.Not.Upcycled. I'm a full-time teacher and a part-time reseller and upcycler. And so in today's video, it's everything fall and we're diving into Halloween already. I would love for you to take the time and tell me a little bit more about yourself in the comments. Are you an upcycler or reseller? Do you have your own booth or love to craft? Or maybe you just like to sit back and watch other people craft. I would love to hear your story. Once I glue this all around the base, it's time to go ahead and cut around all of the edges. For the top of the hat, I went ahead and cut out triangles. That was way more manageable. And I'm going to be gluing these and layering them all the way to the top. This hat is going to be pretty tall and it's going to be a showstopper. So I'm going to use it as the center of a vignette in my own home. And I plan to decorate around it with pumpkins and all kinds of things. This project, along with the other two projects I'll be doing today, were inspired by photos I had seen on Pinterest. Dried moss is really easy to care for, and it's a really great way to get some green into the home. You want to actually keep it dry and out of direct sunlight and free of dust. So it does not need water or light, which makes it very easy to take care of. When it gets dusty, you can use a hair dryer to kind of blow that dust off, or a feather duster or something like that. Now, I did read that when you're using dried moss, to make it more pliable, you can soak it in warm water for like a good 15 to 20 minutes to let it rehydrate. And then you can go ahead and it'll be easier to manage and it'll dry out. But I didn't want to mess around with that. So I'm working with dry moss. So it is a little trickier, but I was still able to get it to work. After I was finished putting my first layer, I wasn't crazy about where it overlapped. So I had a lot left over and I decided to cut long strips, and you'll notice that I already put that down. And so I went ahead and glued the end of that strip, and I was just layering all different pieces. I liked that look and I thought it added more texture. All of this was glued on pretty tight and it was pretty secure, but I still was thinking I wanted to secure it even more and add on another layer. So I had decided to go ahead and pull out some thread, and then I was just going to tighten it even more and just kind of add another layer to it. I ended up wrapping a little bit of twine around the brim and adding on some dried flowers. You'll want to stick around to the very end to see how this witch's hat looks in a vignette with the other projects. For project number 2, I got a hold of a stack of these vintage cloths for free at an estate sale, and I wanted to showcase one as a ghost in one of these frames. I ended up going with this frame because I really liked the edges of it. This cow was super adorable, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decoupage this napkin because I feel like something really dark would pop out the white ghost. Before I decoupage, I'm going to go ahead and use Fusion Raw Silk paint, and I'm going to paint the edges and then rough them up. Fusion paint is an all-in-one paint. What I love about it is it already has the top coat built in, so I'm not going to have to worry about sealing this when I'm finished. I don't know if you caught the price on that tag that I'm peeling off, but it was retailed for $25, and I got this for only $1 at a garage sale. Napkins are a wonderful way to decoupage because there's so many choices and different styles. This one came from one of Sonnet's maker boxes, and one thing you will want to do when you decoupage with napkins is get that bottom ply off, and that's as simple as taking the corner and just peeling it apart. Now, napkins do tend to be a lot more fragile in comparison to rice paper or any other decoupage paper. So you just need to be a little bit more light when you're working with it. I go ahead and I measure it out and then I cut it, and I do spritz my napkins. I find them easier to work with, but again, they're very, very delicate. For this project, I'm using Mod Podge, and I just go ahead and lay down what I call a starter strip in order to place it down, and then I can maneuver it from there. And I like to typically flip it up and then I go ahead and lay it down. But of course, that's stuck to the top of it, so it's going to get a little bit dicey there. Okay, we've got it. As I'm laying it down, I do like to go over it with my fingers. Some creators will get a plastic bag and kind of rub over it, but I like to just go ahead and kind of brush those wrinkles out with my finger. I'm not too super worried of wrinkles, but I try to get most of them out just because a lot of this is going to be actually covered by the ghost itself. I'll brush a layer of that Mod Podge over it, which will dry clear. Now, once this actually dries, I realized that it was very see-through. So I went and flipped it over and I painted black on the back side of it, just so that it wasn't see-through and it was pretty dark. Once it was dry, I went ahead and used, I don't even know what grit it was, used some strong sandpaper because it got its job done and distressed really quickly. I loved how the metal corners turned out. So here comes the fun part, adding the ghost. I knew that I wanted that little lace to peek out, and I am gonna hot glue this down in certain spots so that it stays. So I originally added twine to this ghost, and you'll have to let me know down below in the comments, did you like it better with the twine? Should I have left it on, or do you like it better without? So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to glue it in a couple different little spots to really secure it, but I'm not putting too much glue because I don't want it to show through the cloth. I want this ghost to just kind of spread out a little bit, so I'm just going to glue it in little spots that'll keep it out, but at the same time, it's still flowing a little bit. I have so many of these beautiful cloths. I'm definitely going to be making a handful of these ghost portraits. I'll be putting them in my booth, and then I also plan within a week or so to drop them on my website as well. So if you haven't had the chance to visit my website, definitely check it out. It's Waste.Not.Upcycled.com. So like I said, I got rid of that twine. I think I like it better without the twine. I'm going to go ahead and secure it a little bit more, and then it's time to add those spooky eyes. So I'm just going to be using a fusion paint, and I definitely want to practice a little bit. This, as simple as it is, I feel like I need to be really careful. So perfect, just two little eyes. I'm going to paint them on and hope for the best. I am loving this little ghost. And one of the things I love about this frame is that it has the kickstand, or it also has it where you can just hang it on the wall. So those are my favorite. Well, once again, stay to the very end so you could check out how all of these projects go together. For our last project, project 3, we're going to pull together these wooden spoons, some fusion paint, and create some vintage black cats. So first I'm going to go ahead and paint all of these spoons nice and black, let them dry, and then I'm going to distress them. This is a pretty simple project that requires only wooden spoons, sandpaper, some paint, and like a really steady hand. So after I distress all of these, I'm just going to be pulling out some white paint, a little bit of orange paint, and then I'll go back over with the black paint as well. To paint the faces on these vintage cats, you really just need some basic shapes. So for the ears, I'm just going to do tiny little triangles. And then for the eyes, I'm doing some small or medium size circles. A triangle for the nose, and then just lines coming out of it for whiskers. And then the mouth is just going to be a wide mouth. You'll see that I add in some details a little bit later for it. I'm going to come in with I think it's chestnut mare. It's like an orangish brown, just to simply go over the triangle nose, but I'm leaving a little bit of that white outline on the right side. So you can still see the white. And then I'm going to actually go over that with a little bit of black. Used ash paint for the black details for this. And This is where they really become kind of vintage looking cats with the details. So I'm going to go ahead and put X's over those eyes, add a little bit of detailing around that nose to pop it a little bit more, and then lines. Oh, there's a little hair sticking in there. And then lines around the mouth, like to outline those teeth. Now, even though I'm using Fusion, you can really do this project with any paints that you have laying around. And I think this is just fun with the wooden spoons because there are so many different styles. And how fun would it be to have a giant container full of all of these cats? I definitely plan to make more of these to add to my booth. And I plan to have some in my house as well. I am loving how these black cats turned out. They have such character. I'm just going to add a little bit of twine to each of them. And then I definitely feel like they're really bright. So I think I'm going to go ahead and distress them very, very, very lightly, just so they kind of look even older. That wraps up all of the projects for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. We're going to go ahead and take a peek at the final reveal. I would so appreciate if you leave a comment below. I'd love to learn more about you, and I'd love to hear what you think of today's projects. If you're not yet a subscriber, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along on my creative journey. And remember that anything can be something, so be sure to get creative and waste not.